Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together to learn more about your will for our marriages, Lord. I pray for all of the couples who have come here together and all of the ministries that you put on their hearts and the thing and the issues that you have that you know about even when we don't. And I just pray that your Holy Spirit would just guide us into all wisdom and figuring out what needs to be figured out. Open up our minds and our hearts to hear what you have to say to us. Thank you for our teachers, facilitators, for bringing this opportunity, and may everybody come away with a stronger and more fruitful marriage that your will might be done. All these things we ask. Oh, and we pray against anything that might interrupt our meeting, anything that might come against your plan for this meeting. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Mhm.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Lamont. All right.
Um,
So,
I didn't. Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brother Lamont, for that prayer. I know you had mentioned this before that we wanted to make sure that we have everybody to kind of just because we never really like formally introduce everybody and there are different people on. So just so we're fully acquainted with each other, just have everybody just kind of state your name and where you're from. And I think that's simple enough. I'll start with me. For those who don't know, I'm Karen. I'm in New Jersey. That's it.
We are Lamont and Zanetta. We're tuning in from North Carolina with Tia's parents.
All right. Thank you from North Carolina. I'm Samuel Stewart, Karen's husband, New Jersey.
Robin Lawrence. We're coming out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Kenrick,
Yeah.
Kenrick
Ken
Lawrence.
Lawrence.
Yep.
So I'm Paulette. I'm Samuel's sister, and me and my husband Nigel. He's driving, so he probably won't be able to introduce himself. But we're from Valley Stream.
New York.
Yes.
Avis Thomas, Karen's mom, Sam's mother-in-law, Long Island, New York.
Zephaniah Stewart,
Tia Stewart.
and we're from New Jersey. Karen, Karen Stewart and Samuel Stewart are my parents. It's probably weird saying you guys' names.
Oh my God.
They are most newlyweds there. Okay, go. All right. Who else is next?
Nisa.
She might be out.
Everyone, my name is Anissa Aline. My husband's Donovan Aline. He is not here today. Uncle Sam and Auntie Karen are our uncles and aunts, like I just said, and we're located in Jersey.
And last up is Randolph. Who are you?
Have a little technical situation. I just came on because so I don't know what's going on.
Just introducing yourself and where you're from.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Lisa Randolph. My husband is Keith Randolph. He's not on here today. From New York.
Okay, Karen's sister. Okay, and Josiah.
And daddy usually is on with mommy, of course. Long Island.
All right, and then Josiah, if you can introduce yourself.
I am Josiah Stewart. My wife is Destiny Stewart. She is in the other room right now with Favor. And we are from, I guess, Jersey and Louisiana. But we currently reside in Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. All right. So we have a nice mix of different. Our youngest married couple is Zephaniah and Tia Moya. How long you guys been married?
I believe it's coming up to
5
5 months
5 months.
since October 22nd.
Almost exactly 5 months, almost.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 months, good. And then our most senior marriage is how long?
53.
53 years, all right? And then we have everything in between. So it's a nice mix of location, nice mix of lengths of marriage, and it's been really good. So hopefully you guys are getting something from these sessions that we had. Karen shared me some other people that were looking to join. We'll probably do another session later on, another round of it. But other people wanted to join, but we don't want to interrupt this session right now, kind of keep it going to where it's at. So this third week is going to be a little different than we've done before. We may, for the most part, keep everyone together. If you guys have peeked ahead, which is fine to do a little bit, we're going to be talking about the third level of connection. Remember, we're talking about how a husband and wife are supposed to be connected. And the different areas we covered so far was connected playfully, was the first week. Connected socially was last week. And this week we are into connected verbally. All right. And prior to the one on verbal, there's a little bit of teaching. So I'm just going to share with you some stuff that we learned from the course that we took for that. But personally, I think they're all great, but this one is really, really important. Because I think, to me, connection has to do with how we communicate. So, playfully connected is how we're going to even communicate and interact playfully. Socially, how we're going to interact, on a social level with friends in our marriage and, friends in that regard. But most of the time, as husband and wife, the way that we communicate is going to be verbally. And this is of extreme importance for us to do it properly and effectively. The verbal. This week is going to be pretty interesting discussion. More than likely, we're going to split it up into 2 weeks. Just as we get started really quickly, I just want to remind everyone. So next week, we're not going to have a session. It is Resurrection Sunday, also known as Easter Sunday. We're not going to have a session because there's also a wedding that we're going to attend next Sunday. Also, by way of note, our eldest daughter got engaged yesterday. So we have another one that is engaged. We have another child that's engaged now. So we have Josiah was the first one to get married. Tiamoya was that Josiah and Destiny, and then Zephaniah and Tiamoya. And then Zarina got engaged to Theo, and their wedding is in July. I'll be performing their wedding. And then yesterday, Zafina, which is our eldest daughter, she got engaged to Nathaniel. So marriage is all around.
Nice.
Yes, so it's a lot happening. So that's one thing. So that they didn't plan a date or anything like that yet. That was just yesterday. So next week we're not having a session, and then the week after that, again we're not having a session because something's going to be happening that's special. My wife will share the information.
Oh, you wanted me to share it now? Okay. All righty. My husband is going to be, we're having a celebration. I was going to be sending out invitations to every single one of you. He received his minister's license. So he's now officially a licensed minister. He's been doing, just really a lot of studies, and people are going to be coming in. Even the teacher from his school will be flying in. We'd like for you guys, if you're able, to come out and celebrate with us. It's a great thing to be recognized as someone that's has his heart set to serve the Lord in every capacity and just lay his life out for the Lord. And the Lord has a call on his life to help, many families, especially those journeying from grief. to life. So, and that is his call. So I thank God for just being able to celebrate him. He worked very, 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 very hard. And I'm just grateful for how the Lord is going to use him.
Hey, thank you very much. So
I
that's
was about to say congratulations like 3 times. So congratulations all around.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Congratulations. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Thank you.
Proud of you, Dad. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So it says she'll send out invitations. I know some of you guys are far of the way, so it's not like you guys have to travel down. I appreciate the well wishes and all that good stuff. Attempting not to do anything too big. I'm not really one on big things like
Yeah,
that.
he's not. He doesn't. He didn't even want this, but he was
People said
strongly
you have to,
encouraged.
you have to, you know, kind of let people know it's giving honor to God, you know, by doing this as well. So that's kind of like why I'm partially like giving into it in a way. But anyway,
Yeah. Yes.
so
So wait.
that'll be
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You were still speaking. I apologize. Go ahead.
no. Then Karen was saying, so I was about to move on, but go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead, Karen.
Oh, I was gonna say just another man, just congratulations. Rob and I didn't say it, but for those who don't know, it's like Sam and I grew up together, and I always say this all the time, man. Just never ceases to amaze me, surprise me. The different challenges he takes on. It's just he never runs from anything. So proud of you, man. I know this is something that was on your heart probably for a long time, just thinking, and it's just been chasing you without you even knowing it, and you were chasing it without even knowing it. And just proud of you, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. You were about to have me tearing up over there.
No, seriously. No, because
Yeah.
seriously, Henrik, I was about to say you summed it up so well. It's been chasing him for a long time, and it's something without him knowing he's been chasing for a long time. When you said that, that just like gripped my heart because I was like, you just really put it in perspective, and he just answered the call that the Lord has had on him for a while now.
Can I just say congratulations? Of course, you know that I'm proud of you. And just to bear witness that the Lord's word never returns void, because this is bringing to fruition the vision that my mom, my late mom, had many, 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 many years ago, that Samuel would be a minister. So I'm sure she's smiling and she's so proud. And yeah, we're proud of you.
Thank you. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, you see, he
Yeah,
gets
that.
all flustered. He doesn't like.
No, yeah. Thank you. But it's yeah, you go through a lot of different obstacles as you come along in life, and then you just keep persevering and keep pushing and allow the Lord to lead you and guide you and direct you. So it's ministerial life, and part of the area that I'm really going to focus on is more of a coaching aspect. Along with Karen, my wife, kind of doing a lot of different coaching in different areas. One she mentioned was about grief, because that's what our business is about, where we have a business where we kind of cater to people who lost a loved one. So we're going to do something like a grief coaching. And then also, in some respects, we're probably going to do some kind of marriage coaching as well, and family, because my wife is an author, an accomplished author, and her passion is family. And yes, many of us, well, many of you guys know, we have 9 children. So a lot of times the question is, how do you do it? How do you handle 9 children? And that's not a question I answer, because I deflect a lot of that to my wife, because she's the one that really has been involved with the children like that, and she's done a wonderful, phenomenal job with them. So we're gonna also get into some family coaching, life coaching with family emphasis as well. So that's the way the Lord is kind of leading us right now, doing coaching ministry. When we've expressed it to people, they've said how much it's needed. And it's different than counseling. So maybe we'll get into explaining what that is later on. So instead of grief counseling, we'll do grief coaching. Instead of marriage counseling, it's marriage coaching. It's all Christian based that we're doing. So
yeah, I just want to say one, just to also too, because he received certification, not just as a licensed minister, where he's able to do like, the weddings and the funerals and the bat mitzvahs and all that stuff. But also he's a licensed coaching minister as well. So he received a couple licenses to be celebrated, but just overall, just being able to minister to others overall. So that was it.
But that's why I said, I was very, because so April 7th, we're not gonna have it. We'll be doing that dinner on April 7th. Okay, so the next time we'll come together is gonna be the week after April 7th, which is I guess 14th, something like that. So today what we plan to do is get through. Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
I just have one quick question. I just want to know, you're gonna officiate the wedding. Who's gonna give her away? You're gonna do it?
Creatively do both, yes.
Okay, good.
They told me how I could do it. So we'll be creative. We find a way to get things done. Okay. So the next time we'll get together is April 14th. So today, with being connected verbally, we're going to do part of it, and then we'll get to the other part when we come back. Okay. So one thing I've learned about, even in studying, and not just recently from before, it's always great to do a review. It really helps us to retain the things that we have learned. They say that 80%, and you can hear some really fantastic, you can learn some really great things, but 80% of the things that we learn, we'll forget it. If we don't review, if we don't write it down, if we don't like actively put it into memory. So, it's not bad. You can flip back through the book really quickly to see, these first two sessions. I know Lamont and Zanetta, you guys just came on last week. And we thank you for joining. It was great having you guys on last week. So thank you for joining. But even that first week where we were connected playfully. So just a quick, anybody want to just throw out some things that we got from that connected playfully, and maybe even some things that you guys might have looked to incorporate, or maybe even, do an addition, just from what you might have learned on here, what we've been talking about in your own marriage. And then also we'll do the playfully first, and then we'll do socially after that. So anybody want to share anything from the playfully part?
Yes.
Okay, so Zephaniah is here. You guys can go first, and then Karen.
Get started. Go ahead, T.
Yes, I was saying how this last week, because Zephaniah works late at in New York, and he has a long commute, but we talked about how it's important to connect playfully, and so he took an opportunity to create a game of like different options of like, he made different pieces of paper that have an option, maybe the movies, and then the other one was, what was the other one?
Game night.
And then
Depending on what she chose
I had
from
to
those
choose one
options,
blindly.
other options that she could pick from that too.
Yeah, so basically we were just intentional, and he created a game, and we ended up doing game night, but it was we went to Dave and Buster's, so it was fun. So yeah, just being intentional, even though he got home late, and he was really tired, he was intentional and took the time to be playful. So
yeah. That's good. Very good. Very good. You were intentional, as you said. We have to be intentional. And Tia Moya and Zephaniah, it sounds like you recognize that he was stretching, because you say he came home late, but then he took the time to do something playful. So that made you feel really good, right?
yeah, it made me feel really special.
Yeah, which you are. So this is the part of us communicating with our spouses and showing them how important they are to us, and that was fine. And Tia Moya, very good. All right, Any other recap from the playful session?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. As far as just spending time together and doing things is fun. As far as it was nothing really planned. It was more of a situation with where we had to do something together, kind of like where my youngest son's soccer team was out of their coaches and they looked for other substitutes and it just landed on me. So I ended up having to coach his soccer team and it was Robin, myself, and Emerson out there, and Emerson's playing. And it was just something that they were all engaged into it. Obviously, Emerson was, and then Robin was cheering on the sides, and I was trying to do whatever coaching I could as far as really knowing soccer or anything like that, just throwing out different things. But it was just a good time together. And afterwards, we rode over to my mother-in-law's house. But it was just something unexpected that was something I never really thought about doing before. But anyway, it's just like it was just felt like everybody was included in that. We just had a good time with that, and I think that kind of went along with the just doing something different and playful together, not really, and appreciating it.
Yeah.
So I say that.
Yeah. That's yeah. You were saying something, Robin?
Yeah.
It was actually fun watching him because he had a clipboard with this kid's names on it, and he's like screaming at the I don't want to say screaming at the kids, but he was like trying to direct them what to do and what he's going, you number 5 number. And then he'll look down on the clipboard and try to figure out the kid's name and then scream the name out. It was so funny.
Yeah. It was a good time, yo. We started off kind of rough. We were down 5-0 before I turned around. We were down 5-0. Second half, we got together a little bit, ended up losing 6-3. But it was a fun experience together. He was laughing. We thought it was a good time. So
yeah, it was fun.
Excellent. Again, it sounds like intentional, and then also doing something that's out of your norm. Do something that you enjoy together, even though it's something you wouldn't have thought of before. And that was part of what we were talking about with being playful. And what things could we do that the two of you could be involved with? I know the family was involved, but it's something you two were able to do together and found enjoyment with it. Okay. All right. What about socially? Let's kind of just move along so we can get back to the one for today. But socially, last week, any quick recap on the social, what we got from last week's session, being socially connected?
I remember we had planned we have two very good friends, couple friends, and we had made plans with them because we could just we could go out and just really have a good time. And they're pretty much on, just as we talked about in being socially connected, just we have a lot in common and so on, and we have a good time when we go out. We plan and everything, but then my friend, the wife in the couple, she went to play squash the day before and injured her back, so we missed out on her. We had planned everything. I'm not laughing at her back situation. I'm just laughing at the fact that we were, really intentional and pushed out there. And we even planned to do something different that we had never done before. And when I told her, we were laughing, you were her laughing, like crying in pain, but she was cracking up because I said to her, yeah, part of it was going to be like climbing. And she said, oh, she was like, oh no. But just, again, being intentional in nurturing even the relationships that we have with other couples, which even helps to make our relationship that much more, I would say, healthy and strong, especially when you connect with the right fit or right couples. For us, it'll benefit us when we have mutual friends together.
Yeah, that's good. So that's what we determined. Oh, that's what we discovered last week. Like having couple friends can help to reinforce your own relationship because you see that you're not in it by yourself. You're some of the things that the other couple may experience, things that you guys may talk about. It's like, oh, y'all go through that too, and it's like encouraging for you. Same way I would say, actually, even on this group here as well. I think it's I would say it's almost like a social connection that we have as we're connected on here as well too, even though we're in different states, different parts of the country and all over like that. I think it's very encouraging for myself to come on and kind of see that, as a husband, I'm not the only one that, feels certain things sometimes, as a wife, my wife as well too, and that we have people that we can talk to. And not say we're like just openly saying everything on here, but we're sharing some stuff and we're learning from other couples as well too. So in a way, I think we're building our social connection, even just coming on with Zoom, with you guys on here as well. So,
and I'm gonna tell you a quick joke, because as soon as the session was finished, we received a pop-up text from Paulette, and she was like that she wants Anissa and Robin to be added to her social group. She's, as far as her friend group interests. So yeah, it was just interesting.
all right. Thank you. Anyone else want to share from last week? And then we'll go ahead into this week. And anything that you want to bring up that we learned, that we remember from last week?
One of the questions that was asked was, what's the benefit of married couples having mutual friends? And I had said that they can provide emotional support for each other. And in a listening ear, although some friends, they listen to your business, so to speak, and then it goes all over the world, the world. But then you have to, like more or less pick and choose your friend and see who is, what's the word now? Who will not, will listen to you and not, not talk back, like tell you negative stuff.
Yeah. That's good. So I think that's important. Why we want to have, like, it's good to have married friends. That's really a good point, to make sure, because then they have the same values. They have the same ideas, the same thoughts, they're in the same mindset if they're married as well too. So they wouldn't necessarily go out and expose all the stuff or whatever, because they're in the same, somewhat similar situation. Okay. All right, great. So we're gonna go ahead. So on page 25. And I was looking over the notes for this, and it was really interesting. I thought it was going to be an interesting session for us. But this is about being connected verbally. This is the third connection we have, being connected verbally. So this is, just us talking to each other, husband and wife. And it says some teaching before we get started. So this is actually the teaching section here. And, remember from Genesis, who came first? The man came first. And then the woman was the rib was taken out, the woman's form. So men and women are, physically they're different, but it's not just physically being different. There's this book that's called The Language of Love by Gary Smalley, as you're reading, point one, men and women different. They did a study of small children. And, these are studies, so it's not 100%. And it's just the majority that will relate to how these studies came out. But they did a study with some children, and they separated boys and girls, and they examined how the girls communicate. Remember, we're talking about being verbally connected. They examined how the girls communicated, and the girls, they determined, and see our first line, it says girls' sounds were words. How much percentage of girls' sounds were words? They said 100% of the sounds that girls made were actual words. Okay, so they formulated words. So that's the answer to the first one. 100% of the girls' sounds were words. So they formulated words and they communicated by using words. However, for boys, only 68% of boys' sounds were words. 68%. Meaning 32 sound effects. So this is how they communicated, by making sounds. And my wife and I, we don't usually exercise together. Sometimes we do, but not recently. But we were exercising this week, and she said to me as we were exercising, "How are you making so many sounds while you exercise?" I'm there like whatever, grunting or whatever I was doing. And it came back to memory, this whole part right here, that men are more likely to not just communicate by words, but use sound effects. So whether it's grunting, whether it's the children they was talking about in this scenario, they were making like airplane sounds or different noises. And I could say even from our sons and daughters, I've seen my sons do make a lot of noise effects, more so than I don't even know if I've heard the girls do that, to be honest. How many of you
Wait,
guys can?
wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is it breaking up for you guys? Is that somehow it's breaking up for maybe it's the spin?
Breaking up? Is breaking up? Okay. All right. So
you could probably go back downstairs because Samson stopped making noise.
Yeah. Let me see. All right. So Karen, you could talk about that a little bit about the sounds.
Okay. I'm gonna have the men to talk real quick. Can any of you guys relate to that? Because we laughed at this when we first saw it. 100% of girls, they use words. We use words when we communicate. And guys, they, kind of use their sound effects. And there's even a young guy that works with us at our office, and I don't know if there's a sentence that I've ever really heard him fully say without, well, no, I wouldn't say that, because there's sometimes he talks and he's like, and I'm like, what is that? I mean, just tell me what you mean. I'm like, what? Use your word.
With that as well. I remember this is like when my daughter was born, it was just words we talk and everything like that. Just like anything she wanted, she explained it. But with Elijah, who came next, it was sound. He used to make cat sounds. He makes sounds when he's hungry, like before he gets to eat something. It was just all these different, like nothing with words sometimes, just sound effects constantly. So I definitely I can relate to that because I saw it through Elijah. Wow. Definitely Emerson a little bit, but definitely oldest son. So it was just really like interesting when they put that up, made me think of it as well. He still does it now, like even now. He'll say like that, like talking about food. You know what I'm saying? It's just how he is. So I agree with that.
I got you. Yes, I cracked up when we first were going through the course together. And I saw that. I was like, oh my gosh! I was like, so it wasn't crazy. I said, they're so right. They're so right. Yeah, my husband makes noises. He's still.
Yeah, I do make noises, but it's actually, so this is going to lead up to other stuff as well too, but it's not saying that that's bad.
No,
it's just saying that this is how we communicate, and we communicate differently. Actually, I would say men are more creative in their communication because it doesn't have to be just words. We can actually use other things to communicate as well and get the point across. So I think it actually gives us, Zanetta is saying like, oh, I see. But I was just saying, no way is bad. They're just different. And that's the point of this, that men and women are different and they communicate a little differently. All right, so really quickly, the next part, listen to this part. A man speaks 12,500 words a day. All right, listen to this. A man speaks 12,500 words a day. A woman speaks. Who wants to guess an answer for this one? Now this is typical. This is not all the case. But
1 million. I feel like it's a trick question.
1 million. A million.
50,000.
500,000.
Who said 50,000? Who said 50?
I did, Lisa.
Oh, Lisa, you said, okay. No. So this is done in studies, and it's not, it's averages, but a man speaks 12,500. A woman speaks 25,000 words a day. And I would say, actually, that might be on the smaller side, too. I would probably go with 50 if I was putting numbers out there myself. But the answer to that is a woman speaks 25,000 words a day. So, like when we were taking the course, and this is all about us being able to verbally communicate, is first of all, understanding that we're different. and understanding ourselves, and then also understanding the other person as well too. So what the example he gave was like, what if, on an average day of work, the man will spend his whole 12,500 at work. So by the time he comes home, he don't use all his words up, and the woman still got she got a full day worth of words left to go, but he's all done. This was his example, but I could relate to some of what he's saying. I think we could, So the point of it is, these numbers are obviously every day is different, but the point of it is for us to realize that there's a great difference in men and women and how we communicate. And the better we can understand it for ourselves and for our mate, the better we'll be able to communicate. Okay? So a man speaks 12,500 words a day, and a woman speaks 25,000 words a day. So at least double.
Sam,
all right. Yes.
Do you think, in my mind, when you're telling the difference between, and the reason I said 50,000 is because women, to me, like, conversations with women are different. Women tend to be a lot more detailed in their responses, and I guess that's why there's so many words a day that we speak. We like to, I don't know, for me, I explain everything. I see right now I'm talking a lot. Look at that. That's probably like 200 words I use now anyway. But I'm just saying, I think the difference probably stems from the fact that women are a little bit more detailed when speaking.
Yeah, you made it sound really nice. But no, I actually agree with you. I agree with you that men are more general, and then a woman would be more detailed. Like, for instance, my wife may ask me how my day was, and overall it was good, and I'll say it was good. But then she wants to know, like, what did I eat? Who did I talk to? What exactly I did? All stuff like that, and that's much more information I even retain. I don't remember all the stuff like that. I just know it was good. It was a good day. So, yeah. But I agree. So just like I said with the men, it's not that one way is wrong or right. It's just for us to understand. So just because women are a lot of words, there's a good side to that.
I would also say the number is down because they're not counting the 32% of sound effects. It's there.
True. That might be true. So out of that 12,500 words, only 68 might be really words. The rest of it might be sound effects. So we might not even get to 12, because 12,000 to me sound like a lot. I was like, wow, I don't even know if I do 12,500 a day. Anyway.
No,
okay.
I was add the set that they missed the thousands with the sound.
No. Yeah, no, it's still. I think it's definitely accurate that there's at least twice as much words that women would speak more than men. But I would probably be more like Lisa said, about 50,000. But anyway, all right. So let's go, because remember, this is about understanding, so we can communicate, be connected verbally better. So number 2, men and women have different speaking styles. So we actually also need to understand our speaking style as well as our mate's speaking style. And if we never think about it, we kind of just we assume that they speak like us. We assume they listen like us, but the reality is that they don't. We don't, as a husband and wife. So the speaking style. One would be, and think about this for yourself. Primarily think about it for yourself, and then also think for your spouse. Secondarily, primarily think for yourself. What kind of speaking style do you have? Are you one that is considered more silent, that you never talk? And this is not even just you with your mate. This is just like as a general. Silent, meaning never talks. 2, minimalist, that you use words only when necessary. Say it, or number 3 is you say it once. You do not like to repeat yourself. 4 is average, where you like having conversation with people. Or 5 is, are you an on and on person, can talk to anyone, anytime, any topic. Now, I would say, sometimes we might be a little of each, but which one are you primarily out of those speaking styles? Silent, minimalist, say it once, average, or on and on? And anybody want to share what they think, what they would say for themselves?
I
I
think
would say
for me, I think I'm average. Average.
Robin, you say average? Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie, you saying? What are you?
I said I'm number 3. Say it once, doesn't like to repeat themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would say I'm average.
Average. Okay. So already the 2 women are at the more conversation than the one man just answered. And it's probably going to be more women's going to answer before the men are going to even say anything, which is just proving the same point. But anyway, so who else wants to?
I'm on and on.
You're on and on. All right. That's good. That's good. That's good. I mean, it's good to know what you are. I'll let everyone's answer first, and I'll make a comment about that. But it's good to know what we are and really be honest as far as what we think we are with it. Secondarily, think about your spouse, but really first concentrate on yourself and see what you think you are. I would.
I'm the same
Go
as
ahead.
Anissa.
Tia, what you say?
I would say I'm the same as Anissa.
On and on.
Yes.
Can talk to anyone, anytime, any topic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a mixture between average and on and on.
Wow. You guys are proving that whole
See,
thing.
that was his sound effect.
That was that sound effect there.
We just proving that the book is right, though. Okay.
I would say, Sam, I say I'm average on a daily basis. But if I'm at like a wedding, it depends. If I'm at a social event, I'm like this big social butterfly I'm talking to. I don't know you from anywhere. And I'm in the sometimes I'm in the supermarket. That's why my kids don't like to go with me to supermarkets, because I talk to people. But I don't know. It just depends. I guess so my on and on tends to be when I'm a little bit more comfortable in the environment.
Gotcha.
To Lisa, I would just like to say that you just proved that you're on and on.
And still, only Zephaniah out of the men has actually even said what they are. Still proving the point, though.
Okay. I think I am. Okay. I think I am actually like average. Robin doesn't agree, but it's like what Lisa said. It depends on the situation. More of a social setting. If we're talking, communicating, then I'll communicate. But if I walk into the supermarket, I'm not speaking to nobody. I'm not looking at anything. I'm not doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit different. It's like a combination. It's weird. It depends on it. Like this type of session, like Robin might think I'm on and on, but I'm pretty much, I think I'm just like average when it comes to like conversation. Like I'll talk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good. Thank you. All right, Nigel, you reaching for it? You're gonna share, and then we got to hear from the.
I would say minimalist.
Minimalist, yeah, yeah. I would actually, even though. Okay, go ahead. That's good, Nigel. Thank you. All right, Brother Lamont, Zanetta, and then Josiah, if you can share too. I would want to hear what you and Destiny.
Interestingly enough, my wife and I, we had a good conversation about this. We're kind of reversed. I would say my wife is more of say it once to minimalist, although she is more likely to speak at a grocery store than I am. I would not be speaking in public, but once I got comfortable, I'm like average to on and on.
Gotcha. Good.
So, that was an interesting conversation.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. So it's not across the board too, and there are in different relationships. Some men do speak more, and that's perfectly fine. So again, it's about finding out who we are, and for our relationship. So even though we're all on the same call, we're all benefiting individually for our own relationship. All right. And then Paulette, you spoke. And then Josiah, can you share in Destiny?
I think I'm a normal talker.
You're not normal. You don't talk.
I think I'm a normal talker. I think Destiny is a normal talker with everybody else, but excessive with me. Yeah, I think So I think normal, I guess.
Okay, average to average. Okay. Yeah, and like I said, different environments gonna be different. We're gonna respond differently. All right. So Paulette and Mommy, I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I would say that like Zephaniah stayed once and does not like to repeat themselves. Because I would if you have to repeat it over and over, that means the person wasn't really listening. So I just like to say it once. If you heard me the first time, then watch it after repeat. Let's move on.
Got you. Good. Okay.
I'll go with minimalist.
Minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
Use words only when necessary. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So who else is missing? Oh, so how about Daddy and Keith? We let the women speak for them since y'all talk twice as much anyway. I'm really throwing it out there. It's like, what do you think?
Keith is definitely a minimalist, and it depends on the situation. He might be silent.
Gotcha.
Like
I think that's a good assessment. Yeah. And then Donovan too.
Sometimes I have to like be quiet so I can wait for him. Huh?
No. I was gonna go to another box, but you still need to talk. So go ahead, Lisa. Go right ahead.
You know what, Sam? I'm trying to prove this 25. I'm probably up to 25,000 already, but anyway, I don't care. Yeah, but he's definitely a minimalist. But like when he's with, like if he's around like Paulette or you, Karen, or it depends. His cousins, he's like average, but anywhere else, minimalist to silent.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. All right. So we got two more. Anissa, you're gonna go for Donovan?
Donovan is definitely on and on.
Yeah. So that's actually reverse too. I would agree with that too. That's kind of, but you're on and on too. There's two on and on. So.
Yeah, we're both there.
Okay.
Yeah, my husband is on and on too.
You say on and on?
Oh,
okay.
yes.
Oh, okay. Karen is kind of, and Lisa, I don't know. They both saying they thinking different, but
that is not true. Grandpa, you'll call him? No, because you'll call Grandpa and he'll tell you a sentence and then be ready to be off the phone.
Yeah, I agree that part. Yeah. You may be saying with you.
I agree. That is true.
Yeah. Yeah. So different people in different environments is different. So, and I'll say this for myself.
No, he.
Oh, you was going again, Lisa? I was trying to.
You know what, Sam? You asked about, I'm answering about my daddy. Mommy, it depends on the situation. Daddy can be on and on because when I had to take him to the ER, he knew the doctor's names, the nurses' names, and we just like, I literally left him for about half an hour and came back, and he knew everybody by the time I came back. And they were like having full-blown conversations with him, so it depends, I guess, on the situation. He's on and on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So depend on the situation. For me, I would say I'm between. I'm not a say it once person. I don't necessarily think that doesn't like to repeat themselves. I actually put myself between minimalist and average. Even though I can come on here and talk and in different situations can talk, but I remember specifically when I was courting my wife, and my mother-in-law. No, at the time she was my girlfriend's mother. She asked me a question of why am I so quiet? Do you remember asking me that question? Yeah, she asked me a question of why am I so quiet? So I'm pretty selective when I speak. But then when I get comfortable, I think kind of like how you say Karen does well too, or even Keith or what have you. In certain environments, it depends where you are. Then you can talk a lot and go forward. But overall, I would put myself more between minimalist and average with that. Okay. So, man, we spent a little bit of time with that, but I think it was good because again, it's about finding our own style. So now, what do you think could be some of the challenges with the style? Let's say we're talking about being verbally connected with our spouse, and let's just thinking of ourselves. What could be the problem with somebody that's being on and on? Let's go. Let's start from that side. For somebody that's on and on, what could be the problem in being verbally connected with your spouse?
I would like to speak on that. I was so blessed by the fact that God told me that if I want to hear from my wife and understand her better, I got to stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me it was just very clear. I didn't even realize how much I was interrupting her. I was like answering for her, and I was not, I was taking her pauses as she didn't have anything to say, and I was missing a lot. So I learned a lot and just wait for her.
Yeah. That's good. Very good. That's excellent. So, and it's not that any one of these are wrong. It's just if we understand, then we can actually better communicate with our spouse. So there's definitely a benefit to being on and on as well too, but then there's also a danger that we want to watch out for. All right. What about average? Like conversation. Is there anything that you think of that could be dangerous with, or
So you're saying the question is something that would be dangerous for a person that
well, it would cause a problem for you to be connected verbally with your spouse if you're an average speaker.
I would say it in my perspective, I would feel it only be a problem if you're like a person that is silent or minimalist, like you don't like talking, and then you have somebody that always likes talking. Then it's like, I mean, it would just be you wouldn't connect as well, because it's like somebody that doesn't like talking all the time. They're not going to want to talk, but you like to conversate. So it's like I'm going to hit a brick wall at some points.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're average and someone else is a minimalist, then it can be frustrating to attempt to get them to talk, even though you like conversation, but then the other person's not necessarily there. Okay. All right. Just for the sake of time, let's go ahead and I know it's going to be a good conversation with this one here. So part of conversation is going to be speaking. Then the other part, obviously, because communication goes two ways: speaking and also listening. My brother Mark said as well too, as far as being able to hear and to listen. So, can we determine what our listening style is? The first one is empathetic, that we could feel others' pains and joy. This is an empathetic listener. We really listen because we can relate to them. We can feel what they're going through even as they're talking. So we're really involved. Attentive. Are we attentive listeners? That we're really into listening, like with our whole body, as it says, or and this, I know I've been guilty of this before, and I would say not just my wife, my children, when they're talking to me, and I'm like, I'm doing something else, and they know, and they stop me and they say, "We know you're not listening to us," and it's actually, well, I won't go too much further because I can repeat some stuff that they say. I'm pretty good at that too because I heard enough to be able to repeat it, but I'm not really listening to them. So I'm paying partial attention. But are you an attentive listener where you're listening with your whole body? You're really into what the person is saying, paying attention to it. How about you listen just enough to get a topic from which to launch your own talk off of? So you're just listening enough so you can hear something that you can start your role, your speech down the road. Then another one is hit or miss. Sometimes listens well, and sometimes not. And then last one is jump to quick conclusions. So doesn't spend too much time listening. They kind of listen and then they go off, they hear a little bit that might spark something, and then they just go on down a whole path that's not necessarily what was being said because they heard just enough to say, I'm going to it's like firecracker. You just lit a firecracker, and there you go off down that side there. All right, so these are listening styles: empathetic, attentive, listens just enough, hit or miss, or jump to quick conclusions. Now we don't have to go, because just for the sake of time, we don't have to go through all of these, but do you guys kind of know which one you are from here? Generally, remember, it's kind of, again, like speaking. It may vary from time to time, but overall, which one would you be better? Would you relate to the most? All right, so everybody kind of has an idea what listening style. Okay, so think about it for yourself first, and then also you could think about it for your spouse as well. But it's more so about yourself first, because then, as you have a conversation with your spouse, you can start to discuss this and say, okay, well, I'm this type of listener and you're this type, or, compare the different listening styles and also the speaking styles, and then have a better communication just from that. All right, so now this is the part that we start getting, and we are going to go into this today. We're just not getting to like probably 6. Because a lot of times our verbal communication is cool, is good, until we get into conflict. All right, and conflict is just a natural part of marriage. Conflict is a natural part of marriage. And it says that there's a difference between a disagreement and conflict. All right, who wants to read what a disagreement is? I'm gonna ask someone just to read what a disagreement is.
A difference of opinion.
A difference of opinion. And then a conflict is
Disagreement with anger.
disagreeing with anger. Okay. All right, thank you. So disagreements are normal. It's a difference of opinion. And we're supposed to have disagreements, because if you had somebody that just agreed with you with everything, and I thought about this before, because I guess when you're younger, or you just thinking like, oh, I just wish they have no disagreements, just have marriage, everything is great. But that was before I was married, and early on in marriage, I guess. But if you had somebody that really just agreed with everything that you did, or everything that you wanted to do, all your plans, they're really not necessary in your life. If they just agreed with you and everything that you did, because they're not, for one, they're not like challenging you. They're not adding anything to you. Remember, the wife, and how I think about it, like even back in Genesis, and we say the husband, the man was there, and then the rib was taken out of the man for the woman. So there was a part that was taken out of man that the woman has, and then there's a part that the woman needs that the man has. So in our spouse, we have to have something that is different from us, and that difference is going to always bring about a disagreement, because it's just different from us. But that's the beauty of marriage. That's how I think about it. That's the beauty of marriage. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about the whole disagreement thing, in reference to, if you had somebody that was just always, oh, everything you say is okay, that's perfect. I was thinking the same thing. How would a marriage like that be? What are your thoughts on that?
As you're talking about it, I remember one of our children's pediatrician years ago, when they, we used to take him to the pediatrician. He had married this beautiful woman, a doctor. He married this beautiful woman, and sometime later, I was asking him, how's your wife? And so he was like, we're no longer together. And I was like, what? And I was like, why? What happened? He said, she agreed with me too much. She didn't, it's like, and at first I was like, what? And he said, he was like, it's like she didn't have a mind of her own. She just, everything I wanted, she did it, and everything, and that for a while just kind of, because you would think that that's exactly what he would have wanted, but he said it's like almost like she wasn't really, he was like, if he wanted to marry himself, he would have, married himself. But because he just kind of felt that, I guess, that she wasn't adding, she was just duplicating. And yeah,
that makes them unnecessary in that sense, if they're just agreeing with everything that you say. And I mean, and we're not talking about the conflict part yet, we're just talking about the difference of opinion. If they just agree with everything and they just saw it the same way you did, there's, again, they're unnecessary. I want some other.
just like, wait, just real quick, it just reminded of Coming to America, if you guys ever saw that. When she would say, and he didn't choose her because she kept saying, whatever you like. He kept asking, what kind of movies do you like? Whatever you like. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Who else wants to share on that? Because I know it sounds strange. I think you guys can understand it. But initially, I think for myself, I was like, man, I just want everything to go smooth. Everything just, want to agree with me and everything. But then I realized as I matured in marriage, that wouldn't help me at all. All right, who else is going to share something on that?
We don't have,
okay, go ahead. It was breaking up. Karen, this was breaking up.
Oh, I just said it real quick. So we don't have that problem in this house. Okay.
This is healthy disagreement, right? There's healthy disagreement. Okay, but that's good. I mean,
we're gonna know the opinions. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna know the opinions straight up.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for sharing. Nigel, you going? You saying something?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard this saying, but I know it's something that in martial arts we practice. It says okay to agree to disagree, because that's where a learning process comes from. Nobody's perfect, and it challenges. It makes you, it allows you to think out the box instead of staying in the box. Yeah. And then as you work things out, right? Because you might find out, well, maybe what I thought of was not what I thought it was. By experimenting and working things out the same way you would work out, a relationship or a marriage or something. So it's just okay to agree to disagree, but then after take the time to figure out what that was or work to make it understood. Right, because then you might realize later on, which we find all the time, and that's why the martial arts is a laboratory, to do these kind of things. Put you out there so you can experiment and try different things, and and it just for the betterment of the person, for the person's overall spirit. So that's like my take on that.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. So it's agreeing to disagree, and I think that's marriage and that's maturity.
Can I say?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. So yeah, I agree with my husband. But I think like disagreements of opinion, not agreeing and having differences of opinions is important because it allows you to grow in the marriage. And also marriage is a compromise. So when you get through certain disagreements and you get beyond it, then you can look back, 20 years later, we had disagreements along the way, but we're here where we are, we're stronger because of it.
Yeah, that's good. So you get stronger because of the disagreements, because
we get through by living through and making it through. Right, honey?
He agrees on that yes. So making it through the disagreements, and but I think that the challenges do make you stronger too when you go through the challenges together. because you learn a different perspective. I think as Nigel was saying as well too. You see a different perspective, and you're just better overall by having someone else that
I think that's what it
depth.
Yeah, because then it allows you to realize it's okay, and it doesn't have to turn into anger.
Yeah,
because then anger, then it will just be, we know what that takes. It can take us to sickness and disease.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You get to realize that it's okay. Everybody, nobody. I don't think all of us is gonna everyone in here is gonna have the same, agreement on every single thing, and it's not healthy anyway.
Yeah. When you take us to the next point, so that's what conflict, which is different. So now conflict, as it says here, is a disagreement with anger. All right, so disagreements are healthy, whereas conflicts are now a disagreement with anger. So now somebody want to share anything in reference, like what do you think about that conflict? How it different? How does that differ from the disagreement, or what element? What makes that so harmful as opposed to just regular disagreement?
I remember even when we were beginning to take these courses, and I'm gonna send this to you guys too. And I hope you guys read even some of the stuff that I sent, like the articles, because these were some of the things that we had to look on when we were doing our studies and everything. But this, I remember I found this article here. I was like, some of the things that they were saying, I so related to it, dealing with conflict. This article here is 5 communication tools that saved my marriage. It's a very powerful article. I'm going to send it to you guys. So it's 5 communication tools that saved my marriage. But I just wanted to just read one part here and see if you guys can even relate at any point. It was this, I think it was a gentleman here that was talking. He said, one very tangible side effect of our difficulties was poor communication. I would ask, what's for dinner? She would hear, I can't believe you haven't prepared dinner again yet tonight. She would say, what time are you coming home? I would hear, you better get here and help me because you're never here. And I say that to say that, even like in conflict or disagreement with sometimes anger, we can mishear or I know I've done it. It just, the dangers of conflict is that
That's so true.
Yeah, we're hearing something that's not present in the conversation. In other words, we're creating narratives that aren't even present in the conversation, and it builds something, it fuels something that, just like how he's saying here, because there sometimes, if you guys kind of understand what I'm saying, from here, the difficulty of conflict with anger is sometimes I would say I acted irrationally, where there was no real resolution there, but it was just irrational thoughts, irrational speaking, and the communication is just null and void at that point, because there's no proper hearing, there's no proper communication verbally, or there's no proper listening at that point.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Thank you. And you'll send that out this week.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Text. Okay. Thank you. All right. Anyone else want to share about conflict and how that could be?
I just want to say 2 things. Number one, my mind, just like Miss Karen, went straight to Coming to America when this conversation first started. I was thinking the same thing, although I think I would have never left Zamunda. but seriously, but as far as this is concerned, what she was saying about how you can misinterpret once emotions get involved, we gotta be sincere and honest about when something is emotionally touching. Like I don't like to hear that, oh, I hit a string or that touched a nerve because I'm thinking that I'm so logical. But in fact, you're not as logical as you think you are, especially when emotions are involved. So I think a good step is the first, let's just recognize that, okay, this is a sensitive subject. Anything having to do with certain topics, and everybody got their own individual sensitive topics. So if you know you're on that, you gotta anticipate and do things like revoice, and this is what I hear you saying, so to make sure that it doesn't go off on a rabbit trail.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
And I just want to say about the disagreement with anger. That's why it's important, or I've learned that it's important. I'm trying to learn. It's a work in progress. That it's wrong to go to bed angry because it just festers, and the next day, you just add stuff to it, and time you don't even realize what you were angry, about in the first place. But there's so many other things that's been added to it, and it just is dangerous, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
What's interesting, I've heard that term before too, and with regards to going to bed angry, and then I heard a flip of it as well, that sometimes, even though you might be in the midst of it, somebody might not be prepared to actually discuss that thing that's at this high level at that moment. Maybe they're not in the right state emotionally, or even actually, they may just straight tired. You may have to actually just table it, but the communication part, I guess, staying with part two is like, hey, just to give that person, hey, listen, I know you really want to discuss this right now, and I know we're both upset and discussing this, but I'm not in the right space right now. Can we discuss it? Are you okay discussing it the next day? So that person can at least have something to anchor onto before they go to bed and go to sleep, and not feeling like, not really heard or anything else like that. At least they know they have something to look forward to in that conversation.
Yeah. No, thank you, Carrick. That's excellent. Time is just flipping away, but all right. So let me just to say with that what Paulette and Carrick just said as well. So number 6, which is it's a powerful tool that Karen and I tried out immediately. That we didn't let an hour pass by after we learned this to put this to use, which is something that helps you to get through those times of conflict. It's called the pretzel method. So we're not get to it today, but because we're not going to meet for another 2 weeks, I'm going to say you can maybe just read through it. We'll definitely discuss it when we come back together again. But I don't want to just leave you guys hanging and be like, oh, yeah. Because the technique, and I don't, yeah, he kind of goes in depth there, but we want to explain it from how he taught it to us. So number 6 is a really good way to do it, because the Bible does say that we're not supposed to let the sun go down on wrath. So it's not just like a saying. This is what it says in the Word of God. So it's something that is going to be really beneficial for our marriages, for our relationships. But before we even get to, so just keep that in mind, the pretzel method, which we will go over when we do get together again, April 14th. But you can read through it. But again, with conflict, it's a disagreement with anger. And I think Nigel was talking before about you can agree to disagree. And if we say in marriages that we know that we're going to have disagreements, but we can appreciate the other's differences, because it is a difference while we're having a disagreement. But when it gets to a point where we're angry, that's going to be a problem, because it does bring in other emotions along with that as well too. So if you see here, the causes of why things turn into conflict, and there's 3 reasons why he lists here. Can somebody read it? I don't want to just read everything through unless you guys read it. The 3 reasons why it could turn into conflict. So it turns from, okay, it's a disagreement, which is, we could say is healthy, it's good, it actually makes it better, makes our marriage better. But then there's 3 reasons why that disagreement will turn into conflict. Who can read them?
People do not feel understood. People do not feel appreciated. People do not feel loved.
Okay, all right. So those are the 3 main reasons why something will turn into conflict. And Lamont had brought it up as well too, and then you start getting emotions in there too. So when you don't feel understood, so even if you're talking with your mate, your spouse, and you don't feel that your point is getting across, that you're not being understood by your mate, this can turn it from a disagreement into a conflict, into anger, because then you attempting to get different ways, or if the conversation then ends right then, you never got out what you want to say and the other person didn't hear it fully, it will turn to conflict if you're not feeling understood. Also, as I said, that people do not feel appreciated. Okay, and how many times, I think whether man or woman, there'll be times you felt like you wasn't appreciated, and how it makes you feel, and then everything gets touchy at that point, and little thing can turn into a big thing just because you don't feel appreciated. This person they're not valuing me. Same, it kind of goes together with people not feeling loved. If you don't feel that your spouse loves you, you're not, it's not just about saying that you love the other person, but you're not feeling that it's expressed to you in the way that you will receive it. So these are the three causes about that you can disagreement can turn to a conflict: not feeling understood, not feeling appreciated, and not feeling loved. Has anyone, maybe just get one person want to share anything on that? If you could agree with it, you've been through it before, you've felt those feelings, and
I think it stems from like you're angry because you're hurt.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's the basis, someone is hurt in the communication or whatever, the interactions.
Yeah. So they're hurt. That's good. And it's something we learned in church before, that hurt people hurt people. Okay. So if you're feeling hurt because you're not understood, you're not appreciated, you're not loved, then what do you want to do? You want to hurt the other person. It's not, in a way it is consciously, but you just, if you hurt me, I'm I have to do something. It's like the defense, but you're gonna look to hurt the other person in some way, shape, or form. Subconsciously, consciously, though. So hurt people. Remember that. All right. So conflict management styles. Again, this is similar to what we were doing before. Figuring out, now this is not just for one person, but it's also really in conflict with your spouse. What usually happens? So this is good for you to consider. What do you turn to? Do you turn to Eskimo style, where you go off alone by yourself, that you are, you go into silent mode, you don't want to talk to the other person, you don't want to resolve the issue, you just want to be by yourself, and you kind of just shut down? Okay. Then there's cowboy style, where you just shoot first and ask questions later. So when there's a conflict, you just shooting out there, not really concerned about questions. Just I want to get my point across. I want to do this. I gotta give you a piece of my mind. That's cowboy style. Then you have the lawyer style, which I would say I'm more of a lawyer style, where you like asking questions, building up an argument, you're building up your case, and it's like logical. You're thinking logically, okay, boom, and anything illogical that makes me more upset. I'm like, I can't deal with emotions now. I gotta get this point across. It's like, so anyway, so it's lawyer style, argumentative. So you want to argue your cases, you want to bring your points. Point one, point two, point three, or you might be dictator style. You see it? It says my way or the highway. So there's no problem. It's my way or the highway. You the problem. If there's a problem, it's because of you. That's a dictator style. And then the last style is the fugitive style. When there's a conflict, you picking up your keys, you putting your coat on, you just out the door, and that's it. So how do you handle conflicts? All right. If any of y'all want to share anything on that, you could. Well, maybe I have to pick somebody to say something on it. So, Josiah, I want to hear just real quick. I'm gonna let you speak, but I want to. Josiah and Destiny, because they got the I like to hear from them every once in a while. I love them from Texas, and maybe the conflict management style, and also Zephaniah and TX. Since you guys are such newlyweds, so you guys can share some of y'all experience for us old heads in here. All right, go ahead, Karen.
Oh, I was just saying, I go from, I guess, the one skill to the other. I've gone from one skill to, I've been the Eskimo. I can do the I'll just, kind of just shut down, sometimes if, again, feeling the not understood or, the appreciated and so forth. Or I can go fugitive. Just, okay, if I'm not heard or understood, I'll go, okay. And I'll just want to leave the room. I'll want to leave the room. But, I just, or make efforts to, leave, but it's being able to manage those times. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So yeah, I've seen Eskimo, and I've seen Fugitive. And I've seen Lawyer, obviously too, because then she, when I'm Lawyer, then she can get Lawyer too. But then I've also seen Eskimo and Fugitive. All right, Lawrence's. I see our box lit up a little.
So I will say I'm all of them, every single one of them. It just depends on what the topic is and how I'm going to respond to it. But the fugitive will probably be when Kendrick and I talked ourselves silly about the same thing, and it's kind of going into that circle. And I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. It's time to get off because this is just going on too long. And then, of course, going back to, when we're talking about the disagreement turning into conflict, that's where that conflict can come into play, because I feel like the disagreement that we were talking about didn't have a solution to it. And because it didn't have a solution, it festers and festers and festers, and that problem still exists week 1, week 2, and there's nothing resolved, and it turns that conflict. So that's why I'm all of these. But I feel like it took me maybe like 5 years of our marriage to probably get much better at the communication piece. Would you say, Kendrick?
About 7.
So he says 7. I'm going to stick to 5 years. He says 7, but it's difficult, but much better. You just got to learn how to. And that's still in the communication. Learning how to communicate is an ongoing process, even right now, being like 20.
Yeah. No, it is ongoing. But I'm telling you that the pretzel thing, it's phenomenal. Anyway. All right, thank you.
It's one of the most amazing methods I have. Wait till you guys we go through it together. It really is an outstanding method.
Yeah, it's and just because we keep saying that, it's a systematic way of going through a conflict conversation where both parties are heard, both parties get to speak, and it's understood on both sides. So it's systematic. So it's like boom, boom, boom. You just do this. Okay. All right. The newlyweds and Sign Destiny, if you could share something on that, anything on conflict management style.
So you want us to just share what we think ours are?
No, I mean, just what are your thoughts on it? You seen these different styles in your own relationship, even though y'all new? I'm sure y'all haven't had too many arguments because y'all so new.
Never arguments, disagreement, and differences of opinions, but never arguments.
No conflicts. Okay.
No conflicts.
Okay. Yeah. So again, it's just go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that, I have seen quite a few of these styles displayed in certain conversations with Tia. And I can see within myself quite a few that have been displayed as well. And it's nice to see it like laid out like this. I never really thought about, this like the style of conflict management is just, I'm always in the process of attempting to learn how to deal with conflict better. Even in our short time, we've had a lot of conversations, and I just at the end of it, I always like to in myself like reflect and see how I could have better managed it. And there's a lot of times where I find myself having to, when I think back, I'm like, I should have handled that differently, or I should have, not had so much pride in that moment, or I should have, maybe listened better to what she was attempting to communicate to me rather than, attempting to just get the point that I felt as though I was right. And sometimes I know that I'm right, but if I don't communicate it, if I don't communicate it fully correctly, or if I don't allow her to fully express herself in the conversations that we have, then it will just remain to be a conflict because it's not a point of understanding yet. So like I said, I'm constantly learning and analyzing how, how we can better deal with the different disagreements that we may have. Mm-hmm. And I think Tia has something she wants to say as well.
I didn't say that. Well, one thing that I noticed, thinking back, reflecting as you were talking, is I feel like one thing that we do in our conversations is like and I'm saying this now looking at them, like if, maybe I'm doing Eskimo style, he'll be like, it'll be better if we talk about it, And like, I don't know, it's like when you see the other one displaying a certain way, like if I'm, if I'm like shooting first and asking questions later, and he may say like, you're assuming that, did you even ask me? And then I kind of check myself, like I didn't ask you, or I'm sorry that I, did it that way, So it's like he said, it's a learning thing. And it's good to see this laid out like that, to like, so he can even be like, you're doing Eskimo style right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
yeah, that's good. Thank you. I'm gonna wrap this up like quick now. Josiah, I'm not sure if you're still there, and Destiny, if you have anything to say at this point.
I just want to say too, I'm sure Anissa likes to be, thought of an old head in marriage, but you gotta remember they're young in marriage too. They're still, Lisa, they're still very young in marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, so we gotta come back around to this. I mean, I really enjoy this with y'all. It's good. I like the talking and stuff. But time just goes really so quickly. And my thing as the moderator is attempting to get us off by 7:30. I already pushed to 7:30, 7:34. So we gotta go. Even though it's good. But part like what Tia was saying and F9. Part of it is, now that we start to know and start to understand, remember the speaking styles that we have is going to help us to speak better and know our partner. Also, listening styles that we have. also conflict, because yes, we can get to the management styles, but if we can avoid from it becoming conflict, then that would be a big part of a lot of issues in marriage. If we can avoid conflicts in that sense, still have disagreements, but where it turns to conflict. And remember, whenever there's conflict, somebody got hurt because somebody didn't feel understood, somebody didn't feel appreciated, somebody didn't feel loved. So once we see conflict, okay, just take a step back and say, oh, did I not appreciate my spouse? Did I not express love to them, or did not show them I understood what they were coming from? But again, the pretzel method will really cover that. Last thing, then we're going to say the prayer. I still want to end with prayer with this. It talks about 5. You have to be intentional, just like with our marriage before, about communicating and have time to communicate. So there's times when we can communicate, whether it's breakfast time, lunchtime, dinner time. Think about it for yourself. You can have date nights. Maybe you work together on some particular, in some area you work together. Have some shared hobbies. I think Karen and Robin was sharing about, they did something with the soccer thing. Church is a good time for, you might do it together, time for communication. Bible study group, sports, bedtime, during commercials, if you watch shows, and then have space for other. You think about your own relationship. And again, it's about being intentional with your marriage of when can I have these times to communicate with my spouse. So even they said doing commercials, which means that none of us has, we could be watching Hulu or whatever, and there's a commercial break that comes up. You have a little time to talk. Take advantage of those little times. That's, and I'll say something that be specific in my marriage as well too. Sometimes I'm like, okay, we get to talk right now, just do something real quick. But a lot of times, like my wife maybe wants to have a longer conversation and talk with me, which is good, and I understand it. But I attempt to say, okay, well, let's do a little bit here, and then we can, build up there. So the little things can add up if you do those, and you still have the long conversations as well too. Not to exclude that, so you can have both. Take advantage of those times and the big times. We're going to say the prayer on page 36. If anybody has anything, I don't want to exclude anybody. Anybody will say anything.
I can say something real quick.
Sure.
With 53 years of marriage, we have been through all these styles and then some. But the thing that always keep me is this Proverbs that I always say it to myself. In Proverbs 15, it says, "A soft answer turneth away wrath, but harsh word stirs up anger." So I always keep that in mind whenever these conflicts come across. So as I said, we have been through all these and more. So just remember that.
Thank you for your wisdom with it. And that proverb is excellent. The soft answer, so we can really determine how conflicts or how conversations go by how we answer our spouse and how we talk to them. So there's so much to say, but it's so true. It takes two to argue. One person arguing by himself is just crazy. Really, I'm just saying, one person's in argumentative mode, the argument can't last because just one person arguing. The other person has to engage in the argument for there to be an argument. They have to participate in some way, shape, or form. And sometimes, as much as I attempt to maybe not do something in argument, but then I still may do a little something, and I give that little seed in there, and then it's like, but it takes two. You can't have an argument with one person. One person can't have an argument. Okay, right. So whenever there is one, it's both persons have contributed to it in some way, shape, or form.
Right. I just want to say something real quick, and this is part of even the article I'm gonna send to you guys. And it's one of the things that the article talks about is the principle of first response. I thought this was really key, and it says the course of a conflict is not determined by the person who initiates, but by the person who responds. Yeah. So, someone may initiate, as you said, someone can't argue with themselves, or it won't be a successful argument by yourself. But and it's called first response. The first response is what's going to course the conversation, or if it goes from disagreement to just like mommy said, a soft answer. In other words, a soft response turns away wrath.
Okay.
So I think I like that what Ms. Thomas that's really profound. Just to bring it back into part my field again, in part of conflict resolution. So an example of you on the train, some crazy ones like what you looking at? He was like, okay, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't, I was looking at at that sign. It just seems like so I'm apologies, if I offended you in any way. And you keep doing that until speaking soft words until you can't anymore. And that usually resolves the conflict from leading into anything violent.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you, Nigel. Thank you. So that was Proverbs. So just be careful how we respond to our spouse. Be careful how we respond to people, because how we respond is going to shape the conversation. Okay. Anybody else? I'm giving space for anyone to say anything. So, okay.
Sometimes the silent treatment and not responding can escalate, because then I'm mad that you don't think it's important enough to discuss.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. No, but the silent response, that's a whole nother thing for you. But I understand what you're saying with that. But still, the
fugitive doesn't help either. If you pick it up and leave it, there's a problem.
Well, no, the fugitive is not. Yeah, that's a problem. That's not healthy in that regard. But being silent, you still can't argue. Like if you're there, let's say, and let's just put it in a scenario that you're upset with Nigel, okay, and you're upset, and you carrying on whatever, and he's just being silent. After a while, there's nothing left for you to do. You have to it kind of has to taper off till another time when you guys can handle it in a calm sense. So you have to calm down. So the moment that, let's say, Nigel entertains it and says something, then that's when it can really flare up. But you just going off on one side. Not say it's going to be easy for you.
I don't know. I hear what Paulette's saying. I hear what Paulette's saying. If somebody, depends on the individual, but I think that if somebody is very upset and they're talking to somebody else and they were ignoring them, you never know what heights that person might go to try and actually make them say, okay, listen to me. It might get physical if that person is not really, like, got all their senses together. So if they feel like they're not being heard, they could really take it up to, it's like, oh, you don't hear this? Then you're going to hear this. And they might go to another level that's even dangerous, So I think it depends on the person, but I heard what she said there. I was like, oh, hey.
Yeah. So I mean, go ahead.
No, I was just saying for me, like I go into Eskimo style when I feel like I'm going to say something that I might regret. So I go into Eskimo style. So instead of me saying that to, him, I just go, all right, Lisa, you know what you're about to say right now, and it's not going to come out pretty, and then it's going to cause a problem on top of the problem. So, then I go into Eskimo, and I just say, just me putting myself in kind of like a little timeout for myself, just to breathe a little and kind of think about how to say what I want to say without it making something more, compound the problem or the issue.
Yeah.
And sometimes I could, you being my husband, I know where you're coming from. Because sometimes you want the quiet, you want the silence. I know there's a saying that says silence can never be misquoted.
That's not always true, because sometimes we speak much louder quiet than we speak when we're, because I know sometimes we're spoken about attitudes and different things like that, because we're still speaking, we're still being verbal sometimes when we're quiet. So it can go both ways. Quiet can sometimes, yes, but even going back to the proverb that mommy said, sometimes even if it's with soft answer turns away wrath, or even like what Kenrick had said before, when he was saying about just kind of put it out there. I know we're upset right now. Let's just kind of let this kind of settle down a little bit before we kind of have a full conversation. That's where sometimes instead of just ignoring, or instead of just not saying anything, it's better at times for the soft answer, and
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So that's a good. So I understand, like the Eskimo, like you said, and Paulette said too, just being silent. Yes, you are still saying something while you're being silent. But if you do apply the proverb exactly and say, give a soft answer and say, you know what, let's just table this until it's a more reasonable time to have a conversation. It's not completely, not saying we're going to ignore it, not saying that we're not going to ever discuss it, but let's just wait till it's, instead of a level 10, it's a level 2 that we can have a conversation about it. Then that would be more appropriate in that scenario. So I think that's good fallback. Okay. All right. So now that we know, we're at least better prepared to handle some conflicts in marriage. So, between now and the next 2 weeks when we get together, prayerfully nobody has any conflicts in between then. I can't even guarantee for my own house. But anyway, so page 36. So we'll just say the prayer. Remember, the husband say the first part, the wife say next. The ones in between, because we haven't answered the questions. So it says husband, wife. Then the next husband, wife, we're going to skip. Then we can come back to help me to truly listen to my wife, especially when I don't understand her. Because we didn't do the part we make a list of differences that we appreciate about our spouse. So we'll have to skip we'll skip the third and the fourth part. Okay. So you guys remember, we have to everybody unmute, please. And we're just closing up with this prayer. Husband's going to start off, and wife, and then the last part we'll do it together. All right. So we got to do it in perfect unison as best as possible. So husband is starting off first, and then the wives. All right. So everybody unmute. 3,
What page?
1.
36.
Yeah, page 36. I'm sorry. Okay, page 36. And this is our closing prayer. Okay. You good? You there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. Husbands.
I
thank you, Lord,
that you made
my wife different from me.
Help me
to appreciate those differences.
I
thank you, Lord, that you made my husband different from me. Help me to appreciate those differences.
Okay, skip down. Husbands, help me to truly listen to my wife, especially when I don't understand her.
Help me to truly listen to my husband, especially when I don't understand him.
Okay, so we're going to insert God and then our wife's name in there, this next portion, all right? Forgive me, God and Karen, for often taking you for granted and not always recognizing the gift of God that you are to me.
Forgive me,
God,
and
me
Often taking you for granted and not
not always recognizing the gift
of God that you are to me.
Okay, everybody together.
Help us,
Help
Lord,
us, Lord,
in
spend
spending
time as a couple,
talking
talking and
and
listening
together
you
with you,
our Bible reading and prayer
and
together.
prayer together.
In
In
Jesus'
In
name.
Jesus'
we
name we
pray.
pray.
Amen.
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 All right. I apologize for going above and beyond past the time. It's yeah, I'm sorry, but it was good, but yeah. All right. So thank you all for participating. We have recording, so we'll make it available and get it out as well too. And you guys have the book. You can read that next portion of Pretzel, but we'll be sure to go over that the next time too. In the meantime, happy disagreements. Have happy, healthy disagreements. Remember, that's natural. That's normal. All right, and then just look out for conflicts and see where you can avoid as many conflicts as possible. Karen, you're gonna close out. You gotta do your mic so they hear what you're saying.
Oh, we prayed, so I was just gonna group hug.
Okay, group hug. All right.
Group hug.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Love you guys.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Couple weeks.
Bye-bye.